Oh, salutations everyone, my name is Allan Aldroid. Oh, and don't mind me, I'm just here filling out my gamer license. Apparently you can't call yourself a gamer anymore, you need a piece of paper confirming it. But hey, at least I can feel like a giant loser in a professional capacity now. Most of these questions are pretty easy, however, let me show you what I'm working with. What does FPS stand for? Well, clearly fellow of the Pharmaceutical Society. In Australia? Here we go, question 2. You're about to replay Skyrim. Do you A, try out one of the many class systems you haven't played yet? Or B, play the same class system you've played for the last decade? I mean, come on now. And finally, have I ever played a Sonic game? You know, weirdly, I don't think I have. I'm wondering if that might be an issue. Well, I've been told that you should never lie on official documents, and I'm sure getting one wrong won't get me into trouble. Yep, that got me locked up. Apparently it's a cardinal sin to call yourself a gamer without ever playing a Sonic game, which is probably why I'm locked in here with all these Sonic fans. I honestly thought I was done for until I started speaking to one of the gamer police, and we actually hit it off. We bonded over our hot takes, like how I really couldn't care for Mario Kart 64, and he offered to do some favours for me. He's currently checking out my mansion now to see if I have any Sonic games lying around to prove that, yes, I am a gamer, but I don't think he's going to find anything. Turns out I do know what a hedgehog looks like. Sonic the Hedgehog. I've never really cared for the guy. Anytime my parents would take us into the city, we usually stopped off at Game. Remember Game? May you rest in peace. I'd roam around the Nintendo section to see if there was any good games that caught my eye. Mainly DS games, as not only was I allowed to play that more without my dad complaining that Mario was on the TV screen again, but also because I was able to try out my brand new game in the coffee shop right across the street. Mario & Luigi, Scooby-Doo, First Frights, Dragon Quest IX, My Sims Agents, some of my favourite memories growing up were in that little coffee shop. Are you noticing I still haven't talked about Sonic yet? Growing up in the 2000s, it's safe to say that the franchise was going through some things. People did not have many good things to say about the Sonic franchise, and that's probably why I wasn't inclined to go anywhere near it. I like to think that I managed to engross myself in a good variety of games growing up and build my gaming appetite to the wide selection of genres I enjoy today. But for some reason, I just never even touched a Sonic game. Well, kinda. Obviously I knew about the character, how could I not? I would see him in trailers, the Olympic Game crossovers, but I never really had the urge to pick up a title that was entirely Sonic's. I think it's reasonable enough to say that out of Mario and Sonic, Mario is the more versatile character. He could seemingly fit into any genre of gaming and add his own little spin to it. Racing games, puzzle games, sports games, RPGs, you name it, Mario's done it, and done it extremely well. That's not to say that Sonic hasn't attempted to break out of his fast-paced gameplay style, but it's safe to say that Mario's done it far better. Case in point, whatever this was. Sonic Chronicles: The Dark Brotherhood. In other words, the only Sonic game I've ever played. Instead of running around levels at high speed, zooming past the bad guys and collecting as many rings as I can, I got a turn-based RPG game. To this day, I'm not even sure why I picked it up in the first place. I probably thought I was missing out, so I should try a Sonic game at least once. Picked up the first box with a hedgehog at the front and said to myself, trying it once won't kill me, and ended up picking the least Sonic game I could find. My only memory I have of this game is playing at the coffee shop, and then afterwards, never again. Usually it takes quite a bit for me to give up on a game, more so when I was younger, but I remember having such difficulty with this game that I couldn't stomach playing it anymore. So on pain of death, or worse, being locked up with Sonic fans, let's prove to the gamer police that I am a gamer and replay the only Sonic game I've ever played. After booting this bad boy up, we're greeted with probably one of the worst sins you can ever see on your DS, an FMV. Oh boy, the poor thing's trying. really trying. Launching into our adventure, we're greeted with another FMV, this time in a completely different art style to the first one, now going for a motion comic kind of vibe. This looks pretty cool. Until actual characters turn up, then it starts to look really cheap, almost as if this is a phone game. The music is not helping at all. As far as I can gather, Sonic & Co have teamed up with Gun to take down Eggman's new ship, the Egg Carrier, by dropping it onto a city? Oh my god, is this the Sonic equivalent of the Hindenburg disaster? Tails just wiped out an entire city! And it's not even brought up again? We just cut to the present day with Sonic running through some fields. No words on the catastrophe we just saw. Now I don't know about you, but I'm hooked. Tails calls up Sonic to let him know that both Knuckles and the Chaos Emeralds have gone missing, and a mysterious group called the Marauders have taken them away, so it's our job to find them. Ah, so this is what Sonic's all about. Finally, some gameplay, and it's serviceable. Instead of using the D-pad, you use your stylus to move about. Icons will appear when you're near something that you can interact with. Touch the icon or hit the shoulder button to interact. At certain points of the game, you'll find character-specific interactions, such as these boxes. Over time, you'll collect a sizable cast of characters with their own unique skills and abilities for certain areas. To switch between characters, head to the top of the screen to select them and interact away. Like I said, serviceable. The controls, while fine, do feel quite clunky and counterintuitive. A Sonic RPG is obviously going to act and play differently compared to a normal Sonic game, but is this really the best way to do it? You have 4 buttons that are not being used throughout most, if not all, of the game's runtime. Surely one of them could be like a jump or the character-specific move? When you find something like this in the wild, it feels more like a hindrance rather than a game mechanic. The game feels slow and takes you out of the experience. Tapping a screen isn't exciting at all. Using the shoulder buttons feel much better, but the hitboxes for interactions are really finicky in some places, so you end up fumbling around trying to find the right spot. Every once in a while, you'll come across a little puzzle for you to solve out there in the world. They're interesting enough, not difficult by any means, but they're fun little brain teasers to break up the gameplay formula of go over here, fight something, go over there, fight something, etc, etc. Speaking of fighting, how about a battle now? It wouldn't be a turn-based RPG game without some good old-fashioned turn-based RPG battles. This part, it's a bit of a mixed bag for me. You've got your basic actions you'd expect: basic attack, power moves which require power points to use, defend, item, and flee. Pretty self-explanatory. Fight bad guys, level up, spend points on buffing stats and new moves, rinse and repeat. Instead of taking one turn at a time, however, each character will have a certain amount of actions per round, which feels great and adds a little spin on a more traditional format. Some moves, like your basic attack or defend, will use up all of your actions for that round, so if you want to use any power moves, you have to use them first. Speaking of power moves, when using any of them, you'll have a little quick time event flash up on screen you have to complete to make your move actually do something, all of them being touchscreen focused. Are you seeing a pattern with the control scheme yet? I really love the concept of this. I love when RPGs feel a lot more involved than the standard choose attack, watch the screen shtick. Especially since enemies can also use their own power moves. If a QTE appears on screen, you can negate all of the upcoming damage just as long as you pull it off correctly. Again, such a great concept to make battles feel more engaging and fun. Concept. Let's take a break to talk about how this game handles tutorials. Not very well in my opinion. Anytime the game wants to teach you something new, the game screeches to a halt and you're given a slideshow in dead silence to read. Which is fine, but the game feels slow enough without being given a presentation on the flipping Chow Garden. This game loves to give you a tutorial on practically anything and everything. Clunky or not, at least it's in depth. Except for the power moves. If you're gonna have a gameplay mechanic where in order for certain moves to actually function, you have to do something, you could at the very least set up a practice area for it. I checked all the menus and nothing, absolutely nothing in regards of a practice area. So, when you unlock a new move, you better be able to learn it in the heat of battle lest you flounder around and do the same amount of damage as a fly hitting a car windshield. This was really annoying, as I had to essentially waste my turn trying to get a grip on my new moves, which is not fun at all. Thankfully, the QTE is the same each time, but it's still really annoying having to learn this during battle. Sometimes the enemy will try to flee battles, in which case you must give chase to pull them back into the fray. This is probably the most mobile gamey section so far, as you have to tap the characters to avoid boxes and get the speed boost to catch up to them. This minigame can be fun, but it really doesn't work with a full team party in my opinion. Maybe my reaction times aren't that great, maybe other people could get a hang of it better than me, but this really wasn't my cup of tea. Overall, I really enjoyed the battle system, regardless of a lack of practice mode for your power moves. I love how each character has multiple turns in a round. It helps to make the combat feel more fast-paced without actually doing anything crazy. Plus, you're more likely to actually get a couple hits on the enemy. Or you can have my luck. Other than that, the game is a lot of RPG mechanics you can expect. Side quests, party system, leveling up, all that jazz. On with the story now. After committing some mild cases of animal cruelty, this goober over here throws some boxes in front of us. Oh no! Luckily, Amy's here to clear the way. At certain points in the game during dialogue scenes, you're presented with a multiple choice response. Some will get you back into the action quickly, some are little questions if you want to know more about the lore, or you could just be plain rude to your teammates. While not having a greater impact on the entire story, these do impact how characters will interact with you, potentially even locking you out of some side quests. Nothing too dramatic, but I like the addition. Amy starts boasting to Sonic about her new boyfriend Dexter, in a supposed attempt to make Sonic jealous. Since this is the first Sonic game I've ever played, I don't care. After some more grinding for XP, it's time for a mini boss battle against one of the Marauders, who tells us that Shade has told them to beat us up. And blimey, these things pack a punch. These guys have a special ability known as Stop Stealing My HP and Drag the Fight Out, I'm bored. Also, this Marauder is sexist as all hell. Not once throughout my entire fight with it did it ever swing at Sonic. Amy, on the other hand, she's having to deal with haymakers and grenades. No wonder she invented a new boyfriend herself. Sonic's doing sod all to help her. After another gorgeously crusty FMV, we're on our way to Central City to meet up with Tails. I guess speedsters just really like this place, huh? Tails gives us a lame excuse on how his pathetic little trap did sod all to save Knuckles or the Chaos Emeralds from being nicked. And now we're on our first boss battle of the game. Is it an actual boss battle? I don't know, but I'm labeling it as such. I think I've got a hang of the controls now. I can definitely take them on. This is what we call in the gaming industry a massacre. This is probably a good time to talk about the Chow Garden. Throughout your escapades, you'll find some eggs just lying about in the wild. I picked it up, had no idea what it was, and went on my way. After a while, you'll hear a squelching noise, which, turns out, means that one of your chows has hatched. I thought it was Sonic stepping in dog poop.
Don't look at me, I've never played a Sonic game before. Besides, what the hell was I supposed to think it was? Sonic stepping in dog poop or the miracle of life?
These chows can be a great help in battle, providing buffs such as increasing HP or defense, elemental attacks, and even elemental shields. Most enemies will be vulnerable to a certain elemental power in this game, so looking around to find different chows and equipping them in battle can be very useful. It's a fun collectible with some additional benefits to the characters, and if you were to play this game, I would highly recommend you check these out as much as possible, as they can be a great help in battle. After a rematch with one of the slowest moving robots I've ever seen, we meet up with Rouge the Bat, who takes us to Gun HQ. The general briefs us on the fact that the Marauders are probably after the Master Emerald next, so we should probably get there first. And by saving Knuckles, we'll be one step closer to finding and taking out the bad guys. In other words, continue doing exactly what we were doing beforehand. Chapter 2 picks up right where Chapter 1 ends, talking to an old guy. Gun have reported activity in Eggman's old hideouts in both the city and Green Hill Zone, so we're off to check them out. Oh yeah, and a crocodile phones in to say hi or something, I don't know. Now we're left to explore the city, and Okay, I think it's time to talk about the art style. This game, as you can see, is going for the tried and true 3D characters on pre-rendered backgrounds. Or in this case, hand-drawn artwork. It looks fine, but the big issue I have is that this game really lacks any kind of depth perception due to the art use. Most of the time I found myself headbutting walls to see if I could even walk around it. It also doesn't help that the collisions aren't set up properly in some areas, allowing for characters to stand in front of walls and pillars. Since I have no perception of depth, it feels really confusing trying to figure out what you can interact with. For example, in some areas Sonic & Co can jump around the area at ease. Other times you're unable to, and you need a character like Rouge or Tails to fly you around. But I really can't see any visual difference between the two areas. How can Sonic jump up these rocks, but he needs someone to fly him up this one? Collisions in this game just feel wrong in general. Take this area with Cream. I could not get to her because I kept being caught out by the collision. Watching the footage back, I can see that I was getting stuck on the ramp. But look at the screen! I can't tell if that's a ramp, but even then, why not just let me fall back down to the other side? Why make me meander around? This whole game feels like it's held together by sticky tape and a dream. Anytime I would go into battle, my entire screen would freeze before loading in, and since the battles are all in a 3D space, I feel this weird sense of dissonance between the two art styles. Every single time I save, it's like the game has to fully reset what it's doing as it hard cuts back to the chapter title. Every time I open a menu, I have to watch a wipe transition back into gameplay. I feel like it's going to crash at any second. Oh, and the music. Sonic games have some incredible tracks in them. As someone who's not played any other Sonic games, I can still recognize a fair chunk of the music. I mean, who can call themselves a gamer without knowing the sounds of Green Hill Zone, Hydrocity, Live and Learn, Living in the City, etc.? In this game... The only way this game's tracks are memorable is because the loops are so short that it's scratched itself into my brain. And it's not even the good kind of bad music, it just feels bland, cheap, and bland. It's not making my ears bleed, but it is switching my brain off. And you know what? Since I had to listen to this hot mess for a few hours, I think it's only fair I subject you to the game's music for the rest of my imprisonment, just so you can get a glimpse of how awful the tracks are. After locating a hideout, you walk in, Tails says, "Let's look around!" Fight a robot, rinse and repeat 3 more times. After exploring each hideout, you'll find a communicator MacGuffin. Once you have all 4 of them, Tails is able to figure out that Knuckles must be at the Mystic Ruins. So we're off in Tails' plane to get there. Damn, not even some music this time, all we get is someone dribbling on the microphone. Once we land, we can see that someone doesn't know the meaning of the word shower, as a bunch of stink clouds plague the area, blocking our progress. Luckily, Big the Cat's here. Big the Cat is invincible to the poison gas. As this is the first time I've ever met this character, I can only assume one thing. He must be smelly as all hell. Nothing too much to note on story-wise. Find the hideout, break in, have some battles, find Knuckles, and that's the end of the chapter. Knuckles tells us that we must make our way to Angel Island post-haste to ensure the safety of the Master Emerald. However, as we step outside to head back to Tails' workshop, Angel Island is gone? Let's take a break from the wet fart of the story to talk about how the characters work in battle. Knuckles, I like him. He packs a punch and takes down enemies with such ease. Combined with a Chow that guarantees perfect power moves, he's quickly become a staple on my team. Amy is also pretty good in combat. Pretty good damage output with some great power moves to balance the playing field. Her power move with Sonic is incredibly good and really fun to pull off. Tails is more of a support character. His solo power moves are there to help the team or hinder the opposition. Specifically robots since, you know, he's the tech guy. Big the Cat's got some great attack power at the expense of him only having 1 turn per round. I'm on the fence with him. I think he's pretty good, but Knuckles just beats him for me. Plus, every time he gets it, I think he throws up, and that's not pleasant to look at. Rouge the Bat? I mean, she's pretty good, but I felt like she was really underpowered compared to the other characters I've unlocked. I ended up using her more compared to Tails, however, due to the fact that I felt better at using her attacks effectively. From here on out, the gameplay loop rears its repetitive head and it starts to get pretty boring. Chapter 3 has a lot of backtracking between areas we've already been to try and find some more Eggman devices to track his location. This time, however, we're left to trawl the map ourselves with little to no guidance on where to go. I really enjoyed it. I actually found it kind of fun to try and figure out how to get to new areas and see what's there. Sure, it was a little bit annoying not making lots of progress sometimes, but once I felt myself actually progressing the story and stumbling across somewhere new, it felt pretty great. I think it dragged a bit with Green Hill Zone, but I still really enjoyed this section. However, it all started to go downhill from here. After finding another set of doohickeys, we're able to locate Eggman's base, turn off the force field, and break inside. And this fight... Just like Sonic & Co., our rambunctious robot friends also have the ability to use their own power moves. I briefly touched on this earlier, but I wanted to bring up how in-depth this mechanic goes here. Enemy power moves can range from strong attacks, effects, or even an instant dodge on all moves. Now, why is this important? Well, you know how fun it is to use your power moves on someone who's got an auto dodge on, but the game tells you that after you selected your moves? Wow, it's almost as if this isn't fun at all. Not only that, but the game doesn't even tell you certain enemy actions are happening. As the game goes on, the enemies you're going to fight are obviously going to get tougher, but I was really confused as to why sometimes my attacks went from doing pretty high damage to just 1. As far as I can see, none of the enemies were doing a power move, and they didn't look like they changed at all. Turns out, after doing a Google search, they're just using a defense move, just like how the player can. The game just never tells you that's a thing. Okay, there's definitely an argument to be made regarding difficulty in video games, and that some games have been made a bit too handholdy in recent years. However, there's a reason why in games such as turn-based RPGs, they make a conscious effort to tell the player what the enemy actions do. Sure, the player might be able to figure it out in time, but judging from forum posts from 17 years ago, I don't think a lot of people did. Even the people who did figure it out are also complaining about this mechanic. I know I praised the combat earlier, but when this started happening, fights began to feel more and more miserable, and I shouldn't have to turn to the internet to figure out why my moves suddenly had less of an impact halfway through fights. I haven't played a lot of RPGs, but I can't think of any other game where something like this has happened. This little detail created such an infuriating sense of dissonance between what I had learnt organically through my playtime. As organically as a wall of text can be. This mechanic was apparent much earlier in gameplay, probably starting around chapter 2 midway, so I was somewhat prepared until this fight. Sentries have an attack that can reduce your damage output to 1, which isn't fun. Of course you're able to counter the move with a quick time event, but if you miss just one tap on the screen, sure the damage is reduced, but I still get the debuff, and they'd like to use this way too often. And since all your actions are chosen at the start, I'm sure you can see how infuriating it is to be hit with this at the start of your turn, then have your power move do little to no damage at all. Half my playtime during this battle was stuck wasting all my antidotes at the start of my turn, only to be hit with the effect again, dragging this fight out to Kingdom Come. Not only that, but once defeated, these bag of bolts can self-repair, so you have to take them all out in the same turn, otherwise they pop right back up. No, thank you. I managed to finally come up with a decent enough strategy for this battle, and the elemental chows helped a ton, but even then I had such a bad taste in my mouth that I thought that this would be the best time to pause the game. All I know from here on out is that Eggman joins the team, and while that might be a fun dynamic, maybe for another time.
Despite my many critiques of the game, I didn't really find it appalling at all, just creatively misguided in some places. Don't get me wrong, it's still pretty bad, but it was engaging enough to keep me playing for at least a couple of hours. This is probably the most 5 out of 10 game I've ever played. The combat system's flawed, but can be somewhat enjoyable. The story is repetitive, but there was enough meat on the bone to keep me entertained, but the bits that I did like were often overshadowed by how unoriginal and uninspired the rest of the game felt.
This game is likely supposed to be someone's first experience with an RPG game, kinda like how Paper Mario might be, but this game doesn't really do anything exciting with the format and feels undercooked. There were quite a lot of things I struggled with in this game now, no wonder 7-year-old me dropped it after a hot chocolate or two. While I did like some aspects, this is a terrible gateway into Sonic, no wonder I never played another game. Would I recommend this? No. It's not even a "it's so bad, check it out" kind of game. It's just Even the most die-hard Sonic fans might struggle to get a fun experience from this. Maybe check it out to see for yourself what it's like, but I wouldn't play it through to completion.
Well, now that I've officially played a Sonic game, they've let me out of gamer jail. I'm not entirely out of the woods yet, as I need to finish filling out my gamer license form. The gamer police are highly aware of me now, so I should be really careful on what I put down. Have I ever played a Sonic game? Well, I can say yes now. Have I ever played a Zelda game? Who hasn't? What is your favourite Zelda game, and why is it Ocarina of Time? Oh, well, funny story actually, I haven't played Ocarina of Time.